Hello guys, welcome to my YouTube channel Concept Snaps. So in this video we are going to discuss the memory based MCQs asked in the recent IIBF Certified Treasury Professional 2025. So let's start with the first question. So the first question is, the rationale behind going long on a security is expectation of fall in interest rates. What is the other condition to go long on a security? So basically, going long on a security means buying it with the expectation that its price will rise, while a fall in interest rate can make fixed income securities more attractive. So the other purpose to go with this is asset liability management. So in our options, building the balance sheet, peer pressure, relationship management, asset liability management purpose. So the correct answer is asset liability management purpose. So the next question is related to NDSOM. So NDSOM stands for Negotiated Dealing System Order Matching, which is an electronic trading platform for government securities in the secondary market owned by RBI. So the RBI regulates when issued securities the aggregate net short positions, that is sum of all net short positions across all entities in a new security are capped at 70%, 80%, 90%, 95%, and the correct option is 95%. So moving on to the next question. So the next question is based on interbank participation certificates. So interbank participation certificates are short-term money market instruments used by banks. There are two types, risk sharing and non-risk sharing. In non-risk sharing category, the maximum cut-off period of issuance is 90. So the nearest option is 91 we can consider for this question. So moving on to the next question. Definition of active return in a portfolio analysis study. So before going through the formula, active return is the difference between a portfolio actual return and the benchmark actual return. It measures the value added by the portfolio manager compared to a passive investment in a benchmark index. Therefore, the correct option is active return equal to portfolio actual return minus benchmark actual return. So moving on to the next question. The CDS index has two legs. That is, actually the CDS index stands for Credit Default Swap Index. A credit default swap index involves two main components, the premium leg and the protection leg. The premium leg refers to the stream of premium payments made by the protection buyer to the protection seller. The protection leg refers to the contingent payment made by the protection seller to the protection buyer upon occurrence of a credit event. So the correct option is premium leg and protection leg. So now coming to the next question, and the next question is a calculation of on zero coupon bonds. So the question is, what will be the approximate price of a zero coupon bond with a face value of $1,000 and a residual maturity of 10 years if the required yield is 8.6% with semi-annual interest rates? So our options are $450.64, $440.74, $430.84, and option D is none of this. So we will come to the explanation part. Face value is $1,000, maturity is 10 years, required yield is R equal to 8.6%, that is 0.086. Compounding frequency is semi-annual. So M we will consider as 2. So the number of compounding period will be N into M, that is 10 into 2 equal to 20. So the finally we will come to the formula. Present value equal to face value upon 1 plus I raised to n. So upon calculation, we will get the value as 431 approximately. So we can consider the option as 430.84. So our correct answer is $430.84. So coming on to the next question. What will be the issue of certificate of deposit of face value 1 lakh issued for 6 months at 12% per annum? This is also a numerical question. So we will directly come to the explanation. Face value is 1 lakh, annual interest rate is 12%, 0.12, time equal to 6 months, that is 0.5 years. So the formula is present value equal to face value upon 1 plus r into t. So on calculation, we will get approximate value of 94,339.62. So our option C is the correct option. So going on to the next question. Typically, the protection period for protection buyer and seller of a CDS, that is credit default swap, begin together, but protection buyer has 3 days whereas protection seller has 5 days to decide. So the correct option is 3 and 5. So coming on to the next question. If the 90% of CRR for a bank is 500 crores and the bank rate is 6.75% and the bank happens to maintain rupees 450 crores CRR balance for a day, what is the penalty for non-compliance? Non-compliance means the bank is not maintaining the CRR as per the required standard. So we will go to the required CRR, so that is required CRR is 90% of 500 crores. This implies the total CRR requirement is slightly higher, but for penalty calculation we must focus on the shortfall. So maintained CRR is 450 crores. Shortfall is 500 minus 450 crores, that is 50 crores. And bank rate is 6.75%. So the penal rate for the first day of default is bank rate plus 3%. That is equal to 6.75% plus 3% equal to 9.75%. So we will go to calculate the penalty. So the penalty is levied on the shortfall of period of non-compliance. In the non-compliance is for a day, the penalty is calculated on 50 crores shortfall for the day. Therefore, the penalty is 9.75% for a day on 50 crores. So our correct option is option C, penalty of interest at 9.75% for a day on 50 crores. So moving on to the next question. What is the main characteristics of money market? So our options are: it is a place where government dated securities are auctioned, it is a market where lenders offer short term funds at very cheap rate, and it is a market in which short term requirement for fund or deployment of surplus fund is enabled. And the option D is it is a place where a money is created and distributed to public. So considering all the options, our correct option is the money market, highlighting its function in facilitating short term liquidity management for both borrowers and lenders. So our option C is the correct option. So next, coming on to the next question. What is the feature of redistribution with high kurtosis on the statistical measures of portfolio risk? So what actually is high kurtosis? High kurtosis is a return distribution, signifies a higher concentration of data around the mean, that is a peak, and greater probability of extreme events, that is a fat tail. So considering the options, our correct option is it tends to have a distinct peak near the mean value, decline rather rapidly, has fat tails. So the option B is the correct option. So moving on to the next question. So next question is based on the calculation of Sharpe ratio. So the numerical is on Sharpe ratio calculation. What is actually Sharpe ratio? Sharpe ratio is used to measure the risk return in finance because of its simplicity, and there is a formula for calculation of Sharpe ratio. So Sharpe ratio equal to return on risk portfolio minus risk free return upon standard deviation. So all the values are given in the question. Return on portfolio is 10.25, risk free return is 6%, standard deviation is 3.25. So on calculations we will get the Sharpe ratio as 1.31. So our correct option is 1.31. So we will continue the video in the next part. If you like the video, kindly subscribe the channel and please keep commenting for next part of the video.